And now, live from Pod Cabin in Burbank, California, it's the Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend show. Tonight, Alison welcomes her guests. She's a writer who may be on strike, but you can still find her performing nightly on the streets of Los Feliz as the clown Harlequino. It's Robin Shorr. And he's a writer who would like you to please not judge him on his looks or on his intelligence or even on his sense of humor. No, please just judge him on his smoking hot brain. It's Joel Stein. Chef Jeff is here and avoiding Greta Gerwig's Barbie movie as he holds out for Darren Aronofsky's Weeble Wobbles. I'm her husband Daniel saying hop on board the Love Bus and say hello to your new best friend, Alison Rosen.
Hello, my little Colonel Jeff's cheese crackers. Welcome to another exciting episode of Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend, that particular personalized historic carbohydrate was sent in on Patreon by Lisa Krolasik. Yes, I am on Patreon. All sorts of fun stuff. There's episodes of The Friend Zone, my bonus podcast. There's a level where you can text me and I'll text you back. You can submit carbs. More and even more. There's more. Always more. Consider signing up. It's a very fun community. I like it. I think you'll like it too. Patreon.com/Alison Rosen. And if you opt for an annual subscription, you get 2 months free. What a deal. Before we get into everything, I just want to quickly say thank you to Poise for sponsoring today's episode. Learn more at poise.com. Okay. I am delighted to say hello to my guest today, whom I think I have already sufficiently bummed out. Joel Stein, hello, welcome.
No, not at all. I wasn't upset about the Patreon stuff. My voice is cracking.
Yeah.
The Uncle John's crackers. None of this upset me.
Okay, yeah. Great. Robin Shorr.
Hello. Thanks for having me today.
If you didn't look at the photo you're welcome, that accompanied the social media post, Robin is like golden tan.
80s,
she is
1980s. This is Heather Locklear,
oh
88.
my God. Stop it.
Like, she was on Nantucket, which we're going to hear about. Joel has already referenced or referred to, really. I remember I said referenced years ago when I worked at Time Out New York, where Joel and I both worked separately. And the music editor was like, you can just say referred to.
Ugh.
What's the difference?
Who is the music editor?
Mike Wolf.
There you go.
Do you know him?
No,
but still.
I can tell by the name.
Yeah, right?
You don't need that.
Yeah, right? Anyway.
We had a guy who would like correct all our grammar and tell me I couldn't write there.
Who was that? Who was it?
Well, I was told he was a genius and would be a famous musician and was just copy editing for the music editor got him a job, and I thought that was bogus, but it turned out to be totally true.
There was a copy editor that worked at Time Out that went on to be famous.
Yes.
Famous rock and roll.
Yes.
Like famous that we would know his name?
Jack White.
Yeah. I'm now I'm nervous. Who did 69 Love Songs? No. The whole story is ruined now.
99 Left Balloons?
No. You know the album, the guy
Shaggy Two Dope?
No. Should I just bring up my phone?
Yeah.
It's an old-fashioned love song?
Oh, God.
69 love songs.
Why would you're 69?
He's kind of a genius.
I mean,
he's a genius.
so on the nose.
He's a genius.
Oh, my God. This is horrible.
I don't think he became that famous.
He did.
Otherwise.
We would know 69 love songs then. Rhett Miller? Not Rhett Miller.
In the Magnetic Fields.
Oh.
famous.
Who's that guy? Steven someone.
Yes. Thank you.
Steven Pedantic?
Stephen Merritt Pedantic.
Yes.
Wow.
Stephen Pedantic
I didn't
Merritt.
know that he... By the
that
time
was
I
horrible, that whole experience. Looking
I'm
things
sorry.
up. Oh.
By the time... I know that was like one of those finals, open book finals.
It's just like you can't say it's a famous person and then not know their name.
There was no talk of
you
him
can kick
having.
Me out.
You're fired.
Yeah.
There was no talk of him having worked there by the time I got there.
Yeah. No.
He'd been erased by the sands of time.
Did not think much of me.
Okay.
Which was, annoying. But then he went on to be a genius, so it was okay. He was
a genius in terms of his songwriting that none of us are particularly familiar with.
Oh, the Book of Love. Now it's off the top of my head. The Book of Love, especially no offense to his version, but the Peter Gabriel cover is one of the prettiest songs you'll hear.
Huh.
Peter Gabriel covered a Stephen Merritt song.
Oh yeah, The Book of Love.
Whoa.
And I had no idea. Anyway, Robin was on Nantucket. Joel already referred to the limerick is where all this came from.
Yeah.
Your tan is like concentrated on the bridge of your nose.
Yeah,
it's
very
making
summery.
you look. You're so girl next door.
Listen,
had
it's like there's
no
sun in
idea.
your hair.
Yes.
Look, I got back last night. It was a journey. And at no point did everybody that we saw on Nantucket and in New York City felt the need to compliment Sam's tan. And I didn't think twice about it. So this is news to me.
Maybe yours kicked in late.
Jeez, this
I
is
mean,
exciting.
You look
You're
very
like-
California.
You're a California. You should be driving a cabriolet with
Yeah.
a surfboard in it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. I don't feel like someone who has a tan. I don't have
I
that
see.
confidence
Yeah.
right
Okay.
now.
You should. Because
Thank
the
you.
tan's going to fade.
That's so
You got to use it.
nice.
Use it now.
You guys, that's really nice.
Do you
Thank you.
Now this is personal, but do you have tan lines?
I don't know. I didn't even know I had a tan.
You haven't checked. You haven't noticed, like when you're
No,
showering or
I don't
any of the
pay
other times
attention.
once naked. You've
No,
never seen tan?
I don't. I'm
Is
sure
she
I have
dodging
tan
the
lines.
question.
No,
Come
I'm
on.
not.
How could she not have tan
It's
lines?
just like someone's just like, oh, you have red hair. I just didn't know. I don't know.
If someone said to you, "You have red hair," you would go check that out.
Yeah.
I don't think I have tan lines. I don't know. We were picketing on Nantucket, and so
What were you picketing on Nantucket? Everyone's picketing everything now.
there were no productions on Nantucket except for the children's show of Nan Puppets, which we shut the fuck down.
Wait,
Seriously?
that's not true. You weren't
Okay.
picketing. Yeah. There's no Nan puppets.
There is Nan Puppets.
Really?
And that was the only show to shut down, but we didn't shut it down. But I think we were just walking around. We only went to the beach
What do you mean
twice.
we? What?
The picketing people, our friend Donna Carey, all the picketers, like all the
I know
writers
him.
on Nantucket.
He's from Nantucket.
He's from Nantucket.
He's a great guy.
native. Great guy. We love him.
Let me say hi to Jeff, and then I
please.
want to circle back with
Please.
Donick and the puppets and the tan. And at some point, we got to talk about the fact that my memory, I suddenly remembered that Joel had like a fierce mullet for years.
Fierce.
Yeah. I didn't know him then, but I was a fan. So we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Hello, Colonel Jeff.
Hi, Alison. How are you?
Jeff, I'm just going to start that over because that sounded all wrong and all weird. Sometimes it does, yeah.
Jeff, you're never cutting this out.
John Henson. Anyway, yeah, the carb was Colonel Jeff's cheese crackers because didn't you bring in some crackers once for Snack Chat?
Yeah, it was my homemade Cheez-It recipe.
They were really good.
Thank you.
Really, really good.
Why do people? Okay, I don't know why I came off angry. I'm gonna go curious. Why do people take something that's mass produced pretty well and then try and make it at home?
For fun.
It is.
More of a craft project than
Yeah.
a cooking project. Okay, got it.
My friend Elena makes homemade Cheez-Its, and they're just so good.
They're better?
They're way better.
Jeff's
better.
were better. They had.
Yeah. They're
Oh,
way
well, there's
better.
another answer.
I go back
You were
and-
being modest. I get it.
Well, the texture on the store-bought ones
Mhm.
was better, in my opinion. I never got that down. But the reason that I made them was a friend of mine had made them, and he said, they're amazing. They're almost as good as the store thing. And so I thought, yeah, I'd like to try that. And at
They're
least-
almost as good as the thing you buy for $4.
right, but I love store-bought Cheez-Its, but they're Frankenfood. I mean, I'm the first to admit it. It's like they are made in a science lab to be the most awesome food in the world. So I thought, well, if I can make it myself, at least I kind of know what's in them.
You know, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer on Cheez-Its over here, but in general, I'm not the biggest Cheez-Its fan.
Neither.
But
am I.
then there was like one summer, and I know we also have to get into the fact that Robin doesn't trust summer.
No,
It's
I
a
hate
very
it.
suspicious season. I
Yeah.
agree with you wholeheartedly. But where I was like, you know what? Cheez-Its are really good. I think I like them. I was trying like the white cheddar ones and the different flavors. But then the most recent time I had them again, I was like, it's like someone dialed down the volume on their flavor. I find they're just a little bit,
Well,
like
you-
they need
you know,
more of a sharpness, which Jeff's homemade Cheez-Its
I
flavor-wise
believe
had.
that that's likely. What you're saying might factually be true, and this is what I'm basing it on. Your jaw's dropping.
I'm just listening. That's
Okay.
my listening phase.
I interviewed the CEO of Chipotle, who had for a
Oh.
long time worked at. He founded Chipotle. He worked for a long time at McDonald's, and what he told me, and this is true, is McDonald's will A/B test everything. So like, oh, we can make the bun 6% cheaper, but is it going to taste worse? So they'll A/B test it, and if it doesn't taste worse, they'll go with the 6% cheaper one. But his argument was, you do that enough times, and you get further and further away from the original, and
Oh,
you lose a lot of
interesting.
quality. And
Yes.
he was arguing McDonald's is significantly worse than when I was a kid. because of this.
Interesting.
Like
And is
facsimiles.
Chipotle owned by McDonald's now?
They were briefly, and then they
Oh.
bought them back, and I don't know what's
Oh.
happened since.
Okay. They bought them back and added some new menu items.
Chipotle's added some menu
I
items.
think so.
You know, it's interesting
checked
what
it
you're saying this guy said, because I don't eat a lot of chicken nuggets.
Mhm.
However, my memory of chicken nuggets and McDonald's from when I was a kid is that
Yes.
all of it is delicious, except for those salads that you would shake. Those were
No.
always never good. I want them to be
yeah.
good. They weren't good.
No.
But my kids get nuggets sometimes from McDonald's, and I'll have a bite, and I'm like, this is not what I remember. Is it me, or is it the
That's
the
the question,
nugs?
because food's gotten better in general.
Maybe it's that.
But he was arguing that it's actually gotten worse.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
Okay, a lot of stuff to get to. I'm just going to address the big thing, which I mentioned at the top of the Monday episode. But sadly, for people who just tuned in for this one, prepare yourself for some sad news. My dad died on Wednesday. So when you hear this, it has been 8 days. I am okay. It was not out of the blue, but it still, the timing still felt shocking. That being said, all of us are doing, there's a lot of like, what ifs and if only we had done this and da-da-da. That being said, he was asleep when it happened. I think I said this on the Monday episodes, and now I'm just a broken record, but like, he was asleep when it happened. He was at home. He wasn't scared. He was 89. And I think all of those things are kind of like the ideal way for it to happen if it has to happen, which I guess it did. And I also think that in the way that all the what ifs are about, like, my mom had been texting me and my brother, and, saying like he's been having some bad days and she's worried, but he's reassuring her that he's fine. And so this question of, but he was adamant that he didn't want to be taken to the, my sniffling is not crying, by the way. My sniffling is that I'm having that thing where my ear is bothering me. And so I'm trying to like get my ear to act normal again. But it might be crying later. So I'll let you know which one it is. He was adamant that he didn't, he wanted to stay home. And so I don't know if some part of him knew what was happening. Like, either some part of him knew what was happening and he made his wishes clear, or no part of him knew what was happening, which means he wasn't scared. So either way, I think that's good. And I'll like game it out. Okay, so my mom had said, like, I don't care what you think, I'm calling 911, da-da-da. And then they get there, and then there's interventions, and then ultimately he dies anyway, but hooked up to tubes, uncomfortable. My mom would feel guilty about that. Like, there's no good way out of this. And I kind of think, just sort of when I back up and look at the whole thing, I think just the way our brains are wired, when something huge and huge that we can't control and very final happens, the human brain just goes like, how was I involved? What could I have done differently? Like, there's no way out of that phase of grieving, I think. So that's what's happening. That's, I think, why I felt that I had bummed out Joel and Robin when they got here, because I told each of them and then made them listen to me.
No, I
No.
didn't care at all.
Not
Okay.
at all. I'm glad that you shared it with me.
Thank
That's what I
you.
meant. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
No,
I
I sensed something callous, Joel. I'm joking.
Yeah. And the water coming from your eyes, that's also not crying?
No, that's allergies.
Okay, just checking.
But she's allowed to cry if she
Yeah.
wants to.
There's actually not water coming from my eyes. I had a real Sophie's Choice earlier of like, do I put on makeup? Do I not put on makeup?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I
Yeah.
said, I'm going to put on makeup because I don't feel like I'm going to cry during these shows. But you never know. It sneaks up on you.
It does. I mean, what am I talking about? I don't know.
But
if
you've
it
you've
does.
grieved before.
I have grieved before. I weirdly lost a lot of friends when I was younger. So it's not a parent, it's not a family member, but like, it's just, it will come in waves. It will come in waves.
In some
And
way.
there's nothing anyone can do about it.
In some way. And this is still early because as we record this, it's Monday. It happened Wednesday. Oh, so it's not. I mean, it's not like it's less than a week, so it's still fairly early. Everything I'm feeling might change, but as of right now, I think losing friends young, however you lost them, might be a harder thing to grieve than a parent who's 89.
Right.
I-
I don't know.
Is that because But you were pretty close. You were talking. You were.
I
seeing him a
was.
fair amount. Is it because there was already some change in him that felt like some loss from what he used to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there had been anticipatory grief for like a year. I said to my therapist, I joked, no, I'm fine. I pre-grieved. Like
Right.
a reference to
Roman
Succession.
Roy.
Yeah.
So this is something you talked to your therapist about?
Yeah. So
right.
I haven't had a.
That's a terrible joke, Joel.
I
But
don't
it's
know, I'm
making
a therapist.
Allison laugh.
Yeah,
So
I'm
it's a
delayed.
good joke.
Delayed.
Sorry.
You don't
I
have a therapist?
pre-laughed at your joke.
I don't right now.
But sometimes you do.
No.
Never ever.
This is not that interesting. I've been to a marriage therapist, but only a handful of times.
Wow.
My mom's a therapist.
Okay.
Does that change anything? I don't know. Sorry,
yeah, it
you were
means
telling
you
your
need it more.
Yeah, that's right. You were telling your therapist what?
I was saying I pre-grieved, but it was like a joke because in Succession
Yes.
he says he's pre-grieved,
Yeah.
but he hasn't, and then he has it really
Yeah.
hits him. And she's like, "No, but you have. Like we have been talking about this for a long time now." I think for me it feels less complicated than some other deaths that have happened because there's not this sense of injustice and this sense of like, this wasn't supposed to happen, which I think when there's a young person, there is, like, so it's just like a sort of clean sadness, but also the part, I am still, there are what ifs around the end, but other than that, for the most part, it's like, it just feels, it's just a loss, but it's not a like, deeply complicated loss,
Right.
if that makes sense.
And I'm sort of like, I didn't know your mom and dad, but I feel like that you've said a number of times he wanted to just be home, and he was home.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, I feel like amongst all the questions and could we have done that, I hate to bring the Holocaust into this, but those are what I called Schindler questions. Like Oscar Schindler being like, I could have saved one more Jew. It's like, dude, you saved a lot of Jews,
Right.
And it's like,
At a certain point, it's greedy.
Yeah, stop it, Oscar. But I feel like there are just certain times where we, of course, we have those questions, but the way it happened. And
Yeah.
I do think that's the way. I do think your dad would not have been happy in the hospital.
No. And I don't think they could have. This is the thing. I don't think they could have extended his life a long time. I think maybe I don't know. Maybe he would have died on the way there. Maybe they could have done something to keep him going for a few hours, maybe even a few days, but like his quality of life was already diminished. That's
Yeah.
the hard thing.
Yeah.
Is that I felt like life was hard for him.
Yeah.
Of late.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's just my two summers ago, my sister's father-in-law had fallen sometime in the spring. So like in March or April, he fell and then was in the hospital and until July. He died in July, and he was a resuscitate, so he didn't have a DNR. He was like, I want to be resuscitated.
that's how I feel. I
and
think
they did their absolute best to keep this guy resuscitated for months. And
Wait, so was he like not there though?
he was not there.
Oh.
And I
That's
just kept
tough.
saying like, it's going to happen any day now. He's going to die. And I guess he just like was non-responsive one night and died sort of in his sleep in a similar way. But there was a massive run up to that moment. And also this idea of it actually propelled me to get a will because he didn't have the only instructions that were verbal. And it was my sister's mother-in-law being like, no, he wanted to be resuscitated. He wanted to be like Terry Schiavo, like, you know what I mean? Like
with the hope that they could
bring him back.
Yeah.
That slim chance. And I just think that that's crazy. And I think that's like Quixote-esque thinking. And
I've been resuscitated 7 or 8 times.
you have?
I'm not sure what resuscitate means.
But and then by the way, I will say, when my sister called and said that her father-in-law had died, there was so much shock. And I remember being like, Are we really so surprised? Like, what are we? Like, they were shocked as if somebody had just like killed him in the middle of Fifth Avenue or whatever. But like, God forbid. But I'm just saying, there was like so much shock and like it was really interesting because I was like, you guys had so. Even though your therapist said you have been processing this and pre-grieving this, I still, and that's so healthy. I just think there has to be room for freaking out.
Totally. And there, I feel like I said tootly.
Tiddly tiddles.
Tiddly. I've been down at the house. So it happened Wednesday. I went down Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is the first day I haven't been down there.
Wow. That's a lot too.
It's interesting being in the house.
Yeah.
Near the end, he napped a lot. So it's not, on the one hand, it's like not that unusual for him not to be in the room with us eating dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'll just look, and he was like a big presence and his stuff is everywhere, which I'm glad. I'm glad my mom hasn't like moved any of his stuff or anything like that. But like on his nightstand, it's like his little cup of pills are like exactly, I mean, like very much life interrupted, you know?
Yeah, that's really tough.
So I think, I'll just be there and sort of comforted by all of his stuff and the memories. And then I'll just like look at his chair that he was always in and just be like, he's not here.
Yeah.
But there have been, I mean, like I went into their bedroom and I, buried my face in his sweater, which still smells like him. Like each time I've been down there, I've been doing that. And I'm just
think
like,
that's healthy.
My mom fucking washes that sweater. I swear to God.
No,
I almost
take it with you.
I wanted to take it, but then I was like, maybe I'm not ready to have it in my house yet.
Okay.
I put up a picture of him and Elliot on my nightstand. And then I'm like, nope, can't do that. I put it down. It was like
too soon.
Yeah. Oh, it just was making me cry looking at it. But yeah. And he had all these, he was always taking, he always had a legal pad near him and he would take notes. And so I felt like snooping. I was kind of snooping, but like also not. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm just going to see what's in here, And it was like dictate book. And then it was like 6 book ideas he had.
Oh my God.
And like even up to the end, he still wanted to write a book,
Right.
And it was all very, I actually don't know exactly what these notes were, but it was like great meals, famous people. Like, I don't know.
Great.
I don't know what this was, but
I visited Carl Reiner about a year before he died at lunch at his house, and he had a group of people upstairs he brought me to meet, and they were working on his books, and he was doing what you're saying. So he's like, these are the favorite movies I've ever seen. And it was just these books of like pictures and a couple sentences about movies he liked. And it just seemed like a way to memories that were still like meaningful and fresh to him.
Yeah.
And it was weird, but it sounds just like that.
And then I told Daniel this, I haven't told my mom and my sister yet, but in his most recent notebook, so there's the notebook or the legal pad, and then in the back, there were all these folded pieces of paper. And I found this one that had a list of memories that involved me.
Oh.
And it made me so happy to find like special memories.
Yeah.
I don't know what this list was for. I was like, is it possible that I was trying to time it. Like, is it possible that this was a list he was making before he gave a toast at my wedding? Except I don't know. I mean, that was in 2014. So there's been plenty of notebooks since then. I don't think so. But one that was in there was, okay, so I wanted to learn how to, he had a sports car, impractical. I wanted to learn how to drive a stick shift.
Mm-hmm.
So he was going to teach me on his car, his old Jaguar. And then I was like destroying the car. It was stalling. And I think he thought it'd be better if I learn on a I don't know when his car was from, but it was like a classic car. It'd be better, or old car. Sorry. That's not the right terminology, is it? Classic car.
Yeah, that's fine.
It is?
Yep,
okay.
that's acceptable.
When I think classic car, I think like old muscle car or something.
No, as long as it's old.
It was old. So I think he thought like is it called I don't drive stick. Jeff, is it called the friction point?
It's called the steering wheel.
Right. No, where it goes in, gets into gear, like
Right.
when the clutch, is it called friction point though? Or
I don't even know. Yeah.
well, whatever. That like it was very finicky. So if I'm on a modern car, there'll be more leeway. It'll be easier for me. So we went to, I don't know why he chose this, but we went to a BMW dealership to test drive a BMW. So I could not for the life of me drive that fucking car.
Yeah.
It was so awful. It was like cars were honking at me. I think the dealer at some point is like, "Do you know how to drive stick?" And I think I was only like 16, so I barely even knew how to drive. But I could not drive. I couldn't get the car to move, and then I wouldn't. It would like lurch. And every now and then I think about that, and I'm like, "What a ridiculous moment that was!" Like that was just a silly, funny moment, and like Allie BMW dealership was on that list. And I was like, oh my God, like that's something. By the way, I have plenty more funny and special memories. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that was on the list too. Like, oh, that meant something to him.
Yeah.
Or he was thinking about it too. It makes
Maybe
me feel
these were
special.
just the things he was thinking about as me. I think, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes you know when you're sick and it
Yeah.
turns for the better, and then sometimes it turns for the worse and you're like, oh God, this is not normal. And maybe in his subconscious and in his body, he was just like writing down just things that he wanted to write down.
I think maybe, and I think that again, I don't know, but I think if some part of him was accepting what was happening and knew, he also knew that he couldn't say to my mom, "This is it.
Yeah.
I love you. Let me go."
Yeah.
Like, so, but you know, I forget if I've said this 4 times or none. I had a good conversation with him 2 weeks before he died. Did I already say that in this show?
No.
I know I've said it, but yeah. So I was making an effort to try to go down more to see him. And I went down two weeks ago today, and I had a really good conversation with him. And I was like, wow, he's really with it today. It seems like. And I know that my brothers they feel like their last visits were good too.
Good.
So it's like all in all pretty good, but it still sucks.
It's just a shock to the system.
Yes.
Even if it's something that you know is in an we all know, like, God willing, like we want to outlive our parents. That's the way it's supposed to go. But it's just always a shock. Like frankly, my sister's family is like still surprised that Myron died, and I was like, you guys, but like, it's just a shock to the system. It's a shock to your life. It's like a bomb drops in your life, and you have to deal with it, and no one else around you. Like if you go to the store or you get an email from someone who doesn't know what you're dealing with, you're just like, dude. You know,
my mom has been his caretaker for a long time, and for a while has been reticent to leave him, at all. So she and my sister went grocery shopping, and she hasn't she's done delivery. She hasn't been to a store, and we've been kind of trying to say to her it's awful, but there's a lot of things you'll be able to do now that you haven't been able to do. You could go to a movie, you can see your friend who won't get vaccinated. You can all this. My dad never got COVID. Oh. She can do Tinder. Yeah. Totally. I think it's a little early now, but next week could be different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Next week.
I didn't
exactly.
mean today.
Yeah.
I love that it would be Tinder too, Joel. It would not be, it would just be like the straight. I love the idea of like older ladies being
the
on
League.
Tinder.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the League.
Is that a thing? The League? What is the League?
I think the League is theoretically supposed to be for well-educated people who want to date. I could be
There's
wrong.
so many like this and like Raya. There's so many ones where I'm like, I just want to see if I could get on there.
Right.
I did that with Cassandra, my wife. When Tinder first started, we went out to see who could do better.
And who did better.
You did.
That's not important.
Absolutely.
She did. That means she did.
She did much better.
Oh, she did much better.
But,
I mean, yeah.
Anyway, they went to the store, and my mom was saying that both of them were like, it was harder than we thought it was going to be because they just kept like that thing of like, oh, I'm not shopping for him anymore. I'm not thinking about what he would want to eat. And my dad was like, he loved, back in the day, he loved to cook, and he was like super into very into food and cooking and stuff like that. So maybe the grocery store was not the right outing.
Didn't like, I forgot what food it was. I think it was strawberries. and her husband, my grandfather, died before I was even born. So he'd been dead for decades, and she still bought strawberries. And they just
Aw.
rotted in her fridge.
That's kind of beautiful, though.
I
That's
know.
nice.
She couldn't get past it, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
no chance there's going to be a self-published memoir on Amazon by your dad, because we've discussed
right.
the fact that
Yeah.
your dad wrote stuff and had asked you to edit it.
I found that manuscript.
You did.
Yeah. And so for anyone who doesn't know,
It's spicy, right?
Yeah. It's
my
like
dad
corny.
wrote a novel and asked if I would edit it, which I think I'm now reiterating myself, but Jeff, you were not here for the last episode with Robin and Joel, right? No, because
No.
Joel
I
was
was not.
like, oh, I don't. Yes, I do know you. Okay.
Yeah.
To fill you in. Asked me to edit it, which I think he thought meant like spelling and grammar. Like Stephen Merritt, like what Stephen Merritt
I
would do,
wish.
you know?
Yeah.
I am not great at punctuation. You know, that's not my thing. I was an editor, though, and like kind of a newish one. So heavy-handed. So I think I was just like, you know, new lead. Just kidding. But like, you know.
Always good advice.
Right.
Make your character, your
Yeah.
protagonist, more active.
Yeah. So
A new lead.
anyway, though, this was a real. There were some sex scenes in this book, and I wanted to bleach my eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I didn't know my dad talked like ah. I mean, it was just so horrible. It was so. I was so like it's still in my head. It's so horrified. So anyway, I found this manuscript and I was like, will I someday want to look at this? I don't, even in death, I don't think I can handle it. Even now that he's gone, I still don't need to read this.
Got it. I was going to lightly suggest that if there was a funeral service, you could read
Oh,
as
yeah.
a joke. Be
That's
like, and
hilarious.
here's one of the things he left behind. You know, but also that has to do with your level of comfortability and whether he would want that read out loud. Obviously, if he wrote it, he wanted
Right.
people to read it. I don't know.
But Robin's dad self-published a memoir. What's
that
it called?
ruined last summer, From Brooklyn to Beverly Hills.
And back again.
And back again. Yeah, that ruined last summer. So that's why it's one of the many reasons I don't trust summer, but it's just like, you know, these older guys that are taking a look back at their
Yeah.
lives. It's they do it very myopically in a sense, not realizing that a daughter is going to read it or that his grandkids are going to read it and that it's going to exist forever
Yeah.
and be purchasable on Amazon. Please don't buy it.
I think I downloaded a preview of it.
You did.
I
And
did
you-
some reading of
you
it.
had
I'm forgetting.
some thoughts on you had
There was
funny,
a dog that didn't like him or
Yeah.
didn't like someone.
but you said something along the lines of so and so got the short shrift, and it really made me laugh because it was like a name I'd forgotten about. It was funny, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it was entertaining
sure.
for me.
Sure.
Not his daughter.
No,
Okay. So my debate right now, and then we're going to move on, is do I see the body or do I not? And I'm kind of going back and forth. And, tune in next week to find out what I decided.
it's a cliffhanger of sorts.
Actually, next week has
Sorry.
already been, you know what?
Sorry.
Just stick with me to find out. I think you're not going to find out next week because that one has already been recorded. But I'm probably going to.
Can the listeners gamble on this?
Oh, my God. Should we just do a poll?
There's no money in a poll.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Just take a vig. and,
Yeah.
let
That
people
works for
bet.
me. All right. So,
Yeah, that's how I feel. about
Maybe
it.
I
Oh,
am.
hold on.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Oh.
mean, probably. Well, then again, though,
Yeah.
it depends. The short answer is no, except when it's convenient.
That's
I
hilarious.
do. Here's where it's going to get a little murky. I don't think so online. I mean, I think word counts were important in print magazine, but online there isn't that. Well, unless there's like ads being no. Boy, I don't know. I love it. I love it. I love it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
So funny.
oh. So I'm a decisive person.
Yeah, I
as,
gathered that.
as indicated. Okay, so the things we need to talk about: Robin's Nantucket trip, Joel's mullet, Joel's Japan trip.
Yeah.
Where should we start?
They don't seem so important anymore.
I know. It's like, come on.
I'm sorry, guys. And
No.
by the way, I gave you no warning
Doesn't
either.
matter.
That's how this works.
This is
This
life.
I guess
This is
so.
life.
But
It
I mean, I
doesn't matter.
could have mentioned it in an email,
No.
but I just felt like I'm just going to wait. till
No,
I see
you do what works for you.
Oh,
it
you're
doesn't
nice.
matter how the news lands on us.
We should have checked your Instagram page.
Yeah.
It's our fault.
I haven't
No, I'm just
posted
kidding.
about
Yeah,
it.
I didn't think you had.
No, I haven't. And it's weird because I usually post things really fast, but this just this is affecting me differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that rush to be like, I need to let everybody know. It's like, no, just sit with this news.
Yeah,
as long
I
as you
haven't.
need to.
I haven't been ready yet to receive all the.
Do you know the actress Michaela Watkins?
Yeah.
Yes.
Her husband, Fred Kramer, the great Fred Kramer, is a death doula. So I don't know exactly what he does, but he does sort of coach you through the
Yeah.
process of
The dying person or the family?
the family. Yeah. And so I think we just in general, we don't
Yeah,
talk
I think
about
that's
it
right.
enough.
Yeah.
And it is such a huge part. We get so excited when babies are born and people
Ugh.
get married.
Ew.
I know. But it's like we ignore this like one thing and you'll discover in the coming weeks there will be people who don't know how to act around you. There
Yeah.
will be people who don't know what to say. There will be people who will be
You
overbearing.
talking about me?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there'll, it's like everybody's going to act in their way, but it's your thing to navigate. You don't have to worry about how it lands on anybody else.
Do you remember there was this thing, and by this thing I mean there was a New York Times story about death dinners. Like people would gather and talk over dinner about what they wanted from their own
It
death or
rings
how
a
they.
bell.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good idea.
It is.
Like something I've learned from this is, let your loved ones know how you want it, like what kind of service you want or just what you want done. Like and in the last year I wanted to ask my dad, but I didn't because he didn't want to talk like his death was happening soon. And I was just like, if he had strong feelings, he would voice them.
Mm-hmm.
But I did want to say, like, is there music you want played? Is there, and I just couldn't bring, I felt that the conversation would upset him. So I didn't, but yeah, he's a real lack of planning on that one.
I had to gently broach the subject this morning on a Zoom. It's going to sound weird, but I did a short Zoom with Rupert Murdoch today for an article I'm
Is
writing.
he dead?
He's
Can he die?
92.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
And I was basically like asked him about this thing that happened after he was gone, which was, it's hard to do that.
Mm-hmm. Wait, you asked him about what?
What he's going to do with this thing after he's dead.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What did he say?
Succession.
He had a good answer. He talked about Lachlan and his commitment to it, and like
Mhm.
it was an answer.
What were you interviewing him for?
Do you know he has a winery in Bel Air?
I did not know.
Oh my God. They all have fucking wineries. It's such a joke. These fucking guys.
It's weirder though, because if you're at the Getty and you look down, you see what's illogically a vineyard. And you just drive up some, I guess suburban isn't the right street, but it feels like a suburban street in Bel Air. And he's got a house there. It does have a gate, so you wouldn't know. But it's like, and then you drive in and there's a giant vineyard there.
And is
making
he a passionate vinter?
I've talked to him a couple times about this. I feel like he doesn't know a lot about wine, but he had promised the guy he bought this from that he'd keep the vineyard going.
Okay.
And he's really, I didn't know what a promise from Rupert Murdoch would be worth.
Right.
But so far.
Have you tasted
good.
the wine?
Yeah, many times.
Is it because you've been working on this a long time or because you're friends with Rupert? What's going
I'm
on?
definitely not friends with Rupert.
Or because you're an alcoholic.
That's it. It's no, I've had it a couple times. It's very good. It's wildly overpriced, but it's very good.
What's it called?
Moraga. You can buy it.
Many years ago, like truly, like when I first started writing for TV, we got an email. Gary Newman, who was the head of 20th and
Yes.
Fox and all those things, he sent out an email to everyone who worked on Fox shows. And it was like him holding grapes like as close to his nose as possible. And we were like, this is the funniest email. And he was like, I'm a vintner now and I want you to taste my wine and you can order it here. And I'll try and find it. But that picture of like Gary Newman passionately smelling grapes. I think what happens with these guys is they go out, they have a good time, they drink some good wine, and they're like, I'm buying a winery.
Happens, that guy from ABC, who was the president of ABC, did that. But, you know what I'm talking
Steve
Steve.
McPherson?
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, he has a place up in
Sorry.
Napa.
Oh my God. I'm
no.
so
No.
angry.
No.
It's fine.
I understand.
Is this Nantucket protest rage?
I think so. I think it's everything.
Oh,
Rage.
really?
Yeah.
What's the rage? Is strike rage or what
I
kind
don't
of rage?
know. There's not great stories about Steve McPherson,
No, there
but
aren't.
like, maybe it's strike rage. I don't know. It's,
My first pilot was being shot, and Steve McPherson and the president gets fired.
Yeah.
The co-presidents of ABC get fired the week we're shooting.
Right. That's always good.
Always great.
Always
we got,
good.
We got notes at the table read. We went back to do the notes, and we were told she was fired. The person who liked our show had been fired.
What was the? Sorry, go ahead. I'm not cutting you off. Or I am cutting you off. You go back to your story and then tell us what the pilot was.
Oh, it was about me at Time Magazine starring Colin Hanks. And-
That's cool.
I know Colin.
Yeah. So Steve McPherson becomes the president of ABC. He comes to the rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
And he says to me, I married someone you went to high school with. And I was like, I don't think that's possible. I went to public school in New Jersey and I'm much younger. And like it turned out he married my friend's sister from my public school in New Jersey.
Are they still married?
They are still married
Wow.
after having some experiences that were public. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But Rupert didn't buy the vineyard like those guys because
Yeah.
Rupert was reading, I call him Rupert.
Yeah.
Was reading the mansions section of the Wall Street Journal as one does. And he saw there was a Bel Air property. He's like, I would like that.
Sure.
So he went to go buy it. And the guy who was the CEO of Northrop Grumman was like, yeah, but you have to promise to keep this vineyard going. And also let me live here till I die,
Okay.
which was like 9 months.
Oh.
So he's kept the vineyard going.
Wow.
And he also promised to print his saucy memoir.
Oh God. What if Rupert Murdoch just self-publishes on Amazon?
You know, for someone, so Rupert Murdoch lives in Bel Air sometimes.
More than anywhere else, he told me.
Oh.
Isn't that weird that no one has any Rupert Murdoch sightings?
It's crazy. So you drive in, and his house is on the right, and it looks like a reasonably sized house. Now I think it's not because there's some underground area for staff, but it looks not crazy big.
Right.
But the property is insanely big, and there's a chicken coop that was built there from stone that was carved from the land. That's like apparently cost $30,000. I'm sure real estate wise is like $30 million.
Wait, the chicken coop cost $30,000
To build, I was told.
I don't know my prices for chicken coops. I guess that's kind of
sounds high.
expensive.
It's high. It's very
That's
high. It's usually
high.
just some wire.
Right.
Yeah. The place is insane, and you can call up and get a tasting. I think it's like $150 or something.
Do you get
but
a Rupert sighting?
Probably not.
Wait, no, who's he married to?
He is single now. He was engaged.
Great
Take
question,
it. Take it,
Alison.
please.
Thank
Well, sorry, he was engaged to Jerry Hall.
He was married to Jerry Hall
Oh, he was married
Oh.
to Jerry Hall.
until recently. That was his fourth wife.
Okay. And his wife before that was Wendy Dang.
Nice. Very
Yes,
good.
okay, that's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Now, why? I have asterisks in my head around her name. What did she had? She was involved with something.
I don't know. I think
Did
she
she
was.
cream pie? Did she block a cream pie? I'm sorry. I shouldn't be saying these words. Can I
What
try
does
this again?
block a cream pie mean?
You gotta try this
Ew.
again?
I think it means you
Do you
swallow.
remember when there was a group of people throwing pies at
Rupert?
at various titans of industry?
No, I don't know.
I think Bill Gates got a pie in the face. Do you remember this? These
Were they real pies or
anti-capitalism?
like shaving cream pies?
That's a great question. I imagine they could have been shaving cream pies. Because if you've ever tried to throw a pie, it's
I
not.
never have. I would like to.
We went through a little phase in high
You
school,
did?
senior year. We bought some cheap pies and
with
we
Steve
pied
McPherson's
people.
wife.
And what happened? It didn't work like a shaving cream pie would, or
It does not.
okay, it doesn't cling to the face.
No, it's actually much more violent and
Oh.
less effective and less funny than
I see.
you want it to be.
Yeah.
Can I just also ask for my memory banks,
Mhm.
what was the name of the Colin Hanks pilot?
Yeah.
News to me.
Okay.
It didn't air.
I don't care. I
Oh.
need to know the name.
I did it with
So
Marsh McCall.
Oh, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Did you
Marsh.
see his body?
No, but Marsh McCall, God bless him, he dropped dead in the middle of like the second season of Fuller House, and
Oh,
he
geez.
was a dear mentor to a friend of mine, and
To me.
and to you, and his loss was like immediately felt
Yeah.
by like so.
That messed me up.
Yeah, it messed a lot of people up, and he was the nicest guy. So it's good to
But he's
know.
the nicest guy. It's not worth it. But he did this thing. He could be really mean, but in a playful way.
Yeah,
I've never been so felt so loved while someone was just taking me apart.
sure.
Like he just saw parts of me that I didn't even know existed. He would just be making
In a
fun
bad
of me.
way
I
or
would
a good
cry.
way?
He was really funny, but really harsh.
Harsh.
His name
Like,
is Marsh.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Well, his dad is
Oh.
also Marsh McCall. His dad's
Oh.
still a classics professor at Stanford.
Oh,
But like you
wow.
called him Marsh.
And his brother was my year, so I was friends with his brother. That's it. I don't think his name's Marshall. I think his name was Marsh.
Marsh.
Marsh. Interesting.
Yeah, and he
Irish or Scottish.
Yeah.
Old Scottish name.
I've definitely met him, but I remember in the days leading up to his unfortunate death, my friend Edie he was like her savior on this show.
Oh.
And so that was tough.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry that News to Me didn't get picked up.
Did you actually make the pilot?
We shot the pilot. Yes.
Like you own it. You have it.
Oh, you got DVD?
No,
Yeah.
I don't mean own
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
like let's reboot it. I just mean like you have a copy of it.
I do.
Who
I'd
else is
love
in
to
it?
see
My first 2 pilots got shot, and then none after that.
That's okay. Welcome to
No,
the
it's
club.
not okay. Wait.
Colin Hanks.
Colin, who was in that pilot?
Yeah. Who else?
Sorry, it was Amy. Oh my God, Amy. She was in the Friends spinoff.
The Friends
You're so
spinoff,
good at this.
Joey?
Yeah, she's Joey's girlfriend in that. That's not what
Smart?
she's famous for.
Amy Smart.
No,
Amy.
Allison Anders.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
Allison
That's what I was
Anders.
going
Yeah.
for.
I love her.
Sorry, I
She's
blanked
Ted
out.
Lasso's
She's great.
ex-wife.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
She's great.
Right?
She was in
Yeah.
that, and then oh, you know who is amazing in that?
Oh, and she went out with Matt LeBlanc for a long time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so bad. This
have
British
been fun.
stage actor who was also in Cheers for a while.
Oh, Robin.
No male.
No, I know, but he played Robin Colcourt on Cheers.
Yes,
He's dead. Roger Reese.
he was amazing.
I'm
Impressive.
psychotic.
He played Walter Isaacson. He played
yeah.
my editor at Time. Yeah.
Yeah, he guest starred on The Middle once and was incredible, and then he died shortly after. There's a theme here
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to
Oh,
talk about.
David Hasselhoff.
Oh
What?
my
And
god!
he writes about it in his book, in his bio. He wrote about our pilot.
You want to know something about David Hasselhoff?
Yes.
I'm remembering more
Today
people
is
now.
his birthday.
Oh.
And the reason I know that is because I was stuck at the airport with this lovely, lovely 27-year-old girl, Rita. Rita, I hope you made it to LA. Who knows? But she was celebrating her birthday, which was July 17th. And we were so bored. I was like, let's pull up what famous people
Is she
are on
just
your
a person
birthday.
you met at the airport?
Yes. She is a person I met at the airport. And I was very invested in her journey to LA.
Well, happy birthday,
And I
David
said,
Rita,
Hasselhoff.
I
and
pulled
Rita.
up July 17th birthdays, and it says first name is David Hasselhoff, and I go, oh my God, David Hasselhoff,
Oh,
and
no.
then just blank, and Rita was a very smart woman, but I was like, do you know who David Hasselhoff is? She was like, it sounds so familiar, and I was
How
like,
old is Rita?
27.
Oh, wait. I thought you said she was 17.
Sorry, she was born on the 17th.
Oh, yes. Maybe
Which
you
is
didn't
today.
say it,
No,
and I just got
that's how
confused.
age works.
yeah.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I'm 11.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm 10. So it was just like, oh my God, 27-year-olds
27-year-olds
not
don't know?
who David Hasselhoff
Who's
is.
educating our youth?
I know. And by the
Not
way, I
Baywatch.
just did an episode of with Vanderpump
Oh,
Robs
yeah.
about an episode of Baywatch Nights, which was a spinoff of Baywatch where David Hasselhoff works at a detective agency. And Lisa Vanderpump was guest starring, which is why he covered that episode.
I believe Hasselhoff's opening line upon meeting Colin Hanks
Oh no!
during the table read was, "Are you big in Germany?"
Oh,
And
because
then
he's big in Germany.
And Colin's like, "No." He's like, "Because I am."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's a video of David Hasselhoff very drunk on the floor.
Yeah,
eating a
hamburger.
burger.
Pizza.
That
Oh,
was-
is it a
I think
hamburger?
It's a
it's a
burger,
cheeseburger,
and it's
yeah.
shortly after
It's
we did our
tough.
pilot, and I had met his wife and daughters.
Yes.
And they were, they looked like you would think David Hasselhoff's wife and daughters would look, but they did not act like it.
Right.
She was like a really attentive mom, and the kids were doing their homework. Like
Oh,
it was not
good.
what you expected. He was a bit.
But she was
Yeah.
what, like
She looked like
blonde and
she
chesty?
looked like Robin.
Oh,
Yeah.
Guess say no more.
Yeah.
So you're saying I could be married to David Hasselhoff? I think he was the first celebrity we ever saw in Los Angeles when we moved here in 1980, and so that's
That's a
flashing
good
me.
one.
It was a
Yeah.
good one in 1980.
Wow.
Do you know who the Creel triplets are?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I do because one of them belongs to my synagogue and her mother or father just died. And it came through like
Wow.
Leanna Creel's so-and-so mother or father died. And I was like, why do I know the name Leanna Creel? And then I pulled it up. There were these but they didn't. And then I looked at their credits recently. They didn't do that much,
I
but
don't
they
know
were
who
just
they are.
like triplets.
Okay, so they were triplets, and
Like the
How-
Gish sisters or like Playboy?
No.
No.
Not Playboy.
They acted in
Growing Pains?
No, maybe they were on
Oh,
Growing Pains, but 1 or 2 or 3 of them were on Saved by the Bell for a
Yeah.
period of
You
time.
mean the
Yeah.
3 of them played one person? Kind of like the old
No,
they played
no.
3 people.
Oh, sorry.
There were, but they didn't always act as triple. Like they weren't always cast together. Sometimes
Right.
just you get 2 of them. Sometimes.
Right.
I think they also did a reboot of Parent Trap. Are you seeing it?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
According
wow.
to the internet.
Wow.
I remember they were cast as twins in something and thinking like, what happened to the third one? But anyway, I saw one of them at South Coast Plaza
Uh-huh.
and I recognized her. And that was like,
That's huge.
yeah, she was one of my first celebs that I saw.
Yeah, that's huge.
So the one, Leanna, what does she do now? Because isn't one of them like, one of them is a realtor or something?
I don't know. I think
Always
Leanna
a good
is
guess.
in because I went on a deep dive. It's either Leanna's mom or Leanna's wife's mom
Mhm.
died. And then I was like, oh my God, I got to find out about the triplets. And I think Leanna is in audio video production.
Okay.
But I wouldn't put it past one of them to be a real estate agent. That sounds
No, that's
great.
right.
I think, is one of them named Alison, Jeff?
I'm
It
not
was
sure.
KR. No, it was
Creel. Yeah.
boom, Joel Stein.
What did I do?
Nothing.
You don't know about
Like,
the Creels
of
is
all
what you
the
didn't do.
things- Of all the things Joel would ever know, the Creel sister, the Creel triplets is like very deep. It's a very deep
Okay.
cut.
I know, but that's why no, he knows about your mother the car.
Yeah,
my mother
I do.
My
the
mother the
way,
car.
I did a picket with all the middle people, and we were talking about Jerry Van Dyke, who played the grandfather on
Yeah.
the middle. And I was like, somebody thought I wouldn't know what my mother the car is. And I know it because of
Well,
he talked about it.
you were
a lot.
really protesting in Nantucket, picketing in Nantucket?
No, well, the middle picket reunion happened at Sony, but yes, we were really.
So the picket reunions, I've been picketing a couple times.
Yeah.
By the way, picketed on Friday, the first day of the SAG.
Yeah.
People. And there was free homestay tacos, so I went to get one.
Incredible.
And then someone almost in exchange handed me a sign because it was so crowded I wasn't able to grab
Yeah.
a sign.
Yeah.
But they handed me a sign, grabbed the sign, walking around with my friends, realize it's a WGA sign.
That's
Like
okay.
they looked at me,
Oh,
even though it was like
Wow.
it was 90% SAG. They took a look at this face or this body or both, and they gave me the WGA sign,
That's really
not
funny.
the SAG sign.
That's a slap in the face.
That's really funny.
Yes, it felt like that.
I was at a party, a July 4th party at a friend's house not that many years ago, but I don't know how many, like let's say 6 years ago or 8 years ago. And I was talking to someone about someone that was going to come on my show. And I was like, oh yeah, he's going to come in on my show soon. And she's like, oh, are you a producer? And I have thought about that fucking comment only 400
Oh.
times since then.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
I mean, yes,
Yeah, right.
I executive produce my own show, but I'm talent.
Yes.
But
I-
the assumption
Yes.
that I'm a producer,
Mhm.
It's because you look super smart.
that's what I hang my hat on. But I
Hang it.
really don't think that's what it was.
I had a Lamborghini for a few days for my first book, which was about how to learn how to be a man, and
Oh yeah.
one chapter about cars, which Adam Carolla taught me
Mhm.
about cars, but I also got a Lamborghini for a few days. Me and my friend Alex Gregory roll up to what's the Italian restaurant in Malibu?
Mm.
Sparrow.
It's it's been there forever.
Taverna Tony? No, that's
No.
Greek.
No,
I
it
wouldn't.
probably isn't in Malibu, which is why I'm throwing this off.
Granita?
No,
No.
it's been there forever. It's fancy. But we roll up, we get out, and there's people there kind of staring at the car. So my friend Alex said to them, what do you think we do for a living? And they said, Silicon Valley engineers.
Funny.
Hurt so much.
Can I ask you a question about?
I don't think that's a wait. Why do you feel insulted by that?
They just picked the nerdiest. They didn't go with actor. They
Oh
didn't go-
yeah,
Yeah. They went
I
with-
see.
yeah.
Right.
Did Alex Gregory's writing partner Pete Hike? Did his father write Howard the Duck?
No,
Okay.
he did not. I went to
Okay.
school with Pete and
Okay.
Alex.
Okay.
They did not.
Okay.
He was
Just
much more
double-checking.
successful than that.
Okay.
Not in Hollywood, though.
Who did write Howard the Duck?
Somebody with the last name Hike,
Oh.
which is why I thought it might be Pete Hike. So much so
Yeah.
that when I was listening to this podcast about Howard the Duck,
It's an unusual last name, so I wonder
Yeah,
if they're
so
related at
they
all.
might be related.
I've never heard him talk about the Howard the Duck
Yeah.
connection. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, Pete Hike, I just thought they had to be related.
It's a Dutch name.
Oh, that makes
Is it
sense.
like the activity hike?
No, it's Huyck.
Well
right?
done. Well
Thank you.
Whoa.
I know.
But I like it. I
Yeah.
knew a guy whose last name was PruYne. And I
Prune?
said, is it Prine? And he's
Prine.
like, no one ever. Yeah, I mean, it was. But and he's like, no one ever gets it.
Huh.
Is that
Yeah.
Dutch too?
Yeah, I believe so.
I like the first name Wout. I'm watching the Tour de France, and there's 2 Dutch guys named Wout.
Is that
Okay.
Vout?
Well, they spell it W-O-U-T. but
Wout.
I like
It's very
Wout.
German.
great first name, right?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
German
Wout.
sounding.
Strong.
Vout and Marsh.
Maybe one's Belgian and one's Dutch.
It's all
I'm
the same.
confused. Yeah.
Did you ever think, I don't need Colin Hanks, I want to be in my own pilot?
No, because I did some acting in high school, and I'm very bad. So no.
Were you in it at all though? Even playing someone else?
No, I wasn't.
And
even
you
a
didn't
background
want you
actor.
didn't want to?
No, I had just seen that movie American. Not just, but
American movie.
American Beauty.
so many of those. No, what's the one about not
American Pie.
not Harry Crumb, but it's about this the guy who was on Letterman a lot, who was a comic book artist, and they made a movie about him.
Robert S. Crumb?
Is it Chris?
You can't do movies like you can
I
do sitcoms.
can't. No way. No.
Okay.
No.
Well, anyway, he would in this movie, the real guy would come on. I had his name for a second, and would talk about how this wasn't really what happened, and he'd present it. So I thought about doing that, and they were all like, "No, that'll take people out of the show."
Oh, interesting.
American
Wait.
Splendor, is that a show? Is that a
Isn't
movie?
that about
That's a thing.
Yeah. Wait, it's not Crumb though?
It's-
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's this guy who used to come on Letterman and be very cranky with Letterman. Do you remember this?
No.
Harvey Picar.
There you go.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
I mean, I want to know about your other pilot. What was your other pilot?
Other Pilot was not very good at all. No offense to
It was no news to me.
It was no news to me. It's very talented people involved. Sean Levy produced and directed it,
Mhm.
and it was a really, I think, maybe too high concept. I thought it was a funny idea, which was basically pretty close to my real life. Kid drives across country to come home from college, finds out that his parents have gotten divorced, and they're with his mom is living with someone else. Regardless, his parents have gotten divorced. He has 2 younger siblings who are, they have joint custody over them. So the parents ask him, while he's still living at home, to abide by the joint custody rules, while he has
That's
a
really
magazine
funny.
job in New York. And so he's dealing with his crazy adult parents getting.
What was that one
siblings.
called?
Joint custody.
And
Yeah.
who just bouncing back to news to me for a second.
Pamela Fryman.
Okay. Pam Fryman. The
Yeah.
great Pam Fryman.
Great.
The great Pam Fryman.
If I drove across the country as an adult and turned out my parents were divorced and I had to do joint custody, that would make me pee my pants. This episode of Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend is brought to you by Poise Ultra Thins.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I'm the queen of segues. I know you didn't understand anything I said,
No,
but
but what is the product?
You'll
Poise
see.
Ultra
Listen.
Thins.
It
Yes.
sounds like that's not for peeing.
Well,
You'll
I mean,
see.
it's not.
What?
I wouldn't say hey, put this in your underwear and then try to pee into it. But if let's say you're a new mom,
Right?
Let's say you're postpartum,
Yep.
and let's say you're having some bladder leakage, which
Sure.
hello,
Okay.
happens.
I didn't say anything. I was going with it.
It happens,
I didn't
Joel.
object. I was
I
going
know.
with it.
I don't know if I don't know if your wife had this after.
I don't talk to her about that stuff.
Right. Well, if she's discreet, it's because of her Poise Ultra Thins. Here's the thing, Joel, and I feel like you know a lot, but I feel like you might not know this.
Is it about the vagina?
Well, it's about kind of.
No, I don't know.
It's about women. So
No.
I learned the hard way that period pads are not designed to help with bladder leaks. You might think they are, but they're not. Poise Ultra Thins are designed for that. Unlike period pads, they're specifically designed for bladder leakage, and they keep you 10 times drier than the leading period pad. Listen, bladder leakage, it's a thing that happens, and sometimes everyone always says it's the sneezes that get you, but I find it's the coughs.
Yeah.
It's
or
much
the laughs.
Yeah, the laughs, the coughs. Sometimes it's just you're just sitting there
Yeah.
or standing. Poise Ultra Thins keep you feeling clean, dry, and fresh, and they have with and without wings to flex with your body.
But just get the wings.
So I prefer a no wing
Oh.
sometimes.
See, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a personal choice.
Mhm.
Yeah. Very.
Listen, it takes poise. Learn more at poise.com. While I am telling you guys about things that I feel strongly about, I also want to talk to you about Masterclass. I think you've heard me talk about Masterclass before.
Sure.
Daniel and I are both huge fans of Masterclass. So many different classes, over 180 to pick from, so many great instructors. We're talking Gordon Ramsay, Malcolm Gladwell, Steve Martin.
Huh.
You know how you guys are always like, Alison, how'd you get to be so funny? Because I watched a class with Steve Martin, Chris Voss, Esther Perel. I think it's Perel. Esther Perel, whenever I see her, I think she looks like Meredith from Grey's Anatomy. She does, though.
Sorry, that was a crazy
I
nasal
appreciate it.
laugh.
I appreciated.
Did you pee it all?
Yeah.
No, I almost did.
Mariah Carey is now teaching a class.
What's she going to teach me?
What's she not going to teach you?
Which side of my face to show to the camera? What's the Mariah Carey masterclass?
I mean, I feel like it's probably
Singing?
I think it's probably. I'm going to take it,
okay,
and
that
then I'm
makes
going to
sense.
get.
All right.
I'm going to get back to you on that one. I would learn anything from Mariah Carey. Annual memberships start at $10 a month, and you get unlimited access to every instructor, thousands of online lessons, exclusive content, insights, and much more. And also, you can download a PDF. Like, you get these lesson plans and, all this written material you can download and then refer back to it. Daniel always talks about how helpful that is. Level up, guys. Gain new skills in as little as 10 minutes, either on your phone, computer, tablet, smart TV, even audio mode to listen on the go. I said before, I took a class with Judy Bloom.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. It was.
I told you I meet her. I see her every year. Not this last year because she owns that bookstore a couple blocks from my mom's house in Key West.
Oh wow.
Tell her
So exciting. Every
I
time.
enjoyed her class.
I'm going to take the class.
Get unlimited access to every class. And right now, as an Alison Rosen's New Best Friend listener, you can get 15% off when you go to masterclass.com/bestfriend. That's masterclass.com/bestfriend for 15% off an annual membership. Masterclass.com/bestfriend. Okay. I'm just looking at the time because guys, we're doing 2 episodes. I'm not letting you guys leave. We're doing 2 episodes. Here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to talk about your mullet on the next episode.
That's fine.
Because I need to know about it.
Okay.
I want to hear about Nantucket.
Oh boy. Well, I went to Nantucket. It sounds like I'm doing a limerick.
Yeah.
I wanted to do, this was my 3rd trip.
Oh my.
So for people that
To Nantucket.
For people that may not know or care, I don't blame you. My boyfriend Sam's family lives there.
Have you slept with him yet?
No.
Okay.
It's so
That's
weird.
fine.
It's getting weird.
It's fine.
Is he
It'll
pressuring
happen.
you?
Yeah. It's like, hello, I have to be married. And his family is like they're the parents I always wanted.
Aw.
So it's really nice.
Are they okay with you when you're at their house sleeping in the same room together?
Yes, but luckily there's a guest house that we sleep in.
Oh, that's
we're
so Nantucket-y.
very
I
lucky.
didn't know. Okay, wow.
Yeah. So I had per my
They're rich.
therapist. They do okay.
Yeah.
They
you
do
did
okay.
well. Smart.
It has nothing to do with me.
No, I didn't think you made the money.
No. But I talked to I have a lot of anxiety about Nantucket.
Mhm.
I have a lot of sartorial anxiety
Oh.
because the first summer I was there and the first 2 summers I was there, it was very clear that I wasn't up to code with what I was wearing.
What were you doing?
I
Too
was
slutty?
just wearing my bullshit Valley clothes.
What-
I don't know.
What are you supposed to wear? Is it really preppy?
It's really, really, really preppy.
Legitimately,
Legitimately,
okay.
like, look at the Chad Tuckett Instagram. It's called Chad Tuckett.
Oh, I
And
need
it's
to
a lot
follow
of
that
pink on the
immediately.
guys.
Yeah.
I love
and
that.
Nantucket red. It's like this color of my nails. It's like a pinkish red.
I love that.
So I really worked with my therapist very closely to establish boundaries that I needed to enact for this year. And the boundaries were no fundraisers for things that don't need fundraising. So last year, the reason I was pinky was because
Does Joel know about this?
I went to this very, very fancy fundraiser in the fanciest part of Nantucket, which is to say the fanciest part of Nantucket is crazy to begin with. And we went with Sam's brother and sister-in-law, and they were like, "What's your name, sweetie? We're going to put it on a name tag." And I was like, Pinky, because I just was like out of my body. I was like, what am I doing here on the most eastern part of the United States? Like, I do not belong
But then wasn't
here.
there a woman who's like, "Oh, my son is Pinky."
She said, "Oh my God, my son's name is Binky."
Binky with a B.
Binky. And
Oh,
she's
but
like,
you were
"We've never met a Pinky. Should we call Binky right now?" And I was like, "Sure," but she didn't. And like Sam was a little miffed, like, "How could you lie about your name?" And I was like, "How could you not lie about your name in a situation like this?" And it's out on a place called Sconset, which is this really, really, really like very fancy enclave of an already fancy island. And I started saying at that fundraiser that Sconset was Native American for no Jews allowed. And
What were they raising money for?
the Sconset Trust, which is like keeping the land of Sconset
Sure.
afloat.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then afterwards, we went out with a guy who's like, "I'm 7th generation Sconset," and
This is great.
like Sam's brother has a house in Sconset, and they're right next to Bill Belichick. So like it's a vibe. So I was like, no fundraisers, no fancy dinners. I will not get dressed up for a fucking dinner in the middle of the summer. I won't do it. And I said, no, I don't want to go to the country club. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to this restaurant called Lola, which is basically like a nightclub. Like all these things, like Sam's parents like to go out and be seen. And
I don't know if I'm using this phrase right, but when in Rome.
I understand, but I went and roamed the first 2 summers,
Right, okay.
and I was kind of not dreading going back. I want to just make it clear, it is not a vacation. We're with family, and there's a lot of
It's like when
social
Harry and
commitments.
Meghan went to Australia or Africa or wherever they went.
Yes.
Right? It's like this is
There's a lot
a tour.
of social. It's a tour. There's a lot of social engagements. Sam's parents they like to be out, and I just couldn't like that less. So, some of my boundaries got through to the parents, and then some others, like I don't want to eat at the country club. We wound up doing 2 dinners at the country club, but no dinners at Lola. So it was a compromise.
All right, that sounds fair.
So I feel like this was a really mostly good trip to Nantucket. We had a very awkward dinner. There's a family they're very close with the Foremans, and they house a comedian during the summer.
What does that mean?
they're like a comedian in residence.
There's a comedian in residence who runs the Nantucket Nantucket Comedy Festival.
Is it always a different comedian?
No, it's the same guy.
Who?
I shouldn't say his name.
This
because
is what we
I'm
do on this
about to
podcast with
say
you.
it.
You
But
tell us a story, then you won't tell who it is.
Okay, let's hear the story and then we'll figure out how we're gonna get it out of her.
So we were at this big dinner the other night with that family and my family, and Sam's niece and nephew were there. They're a freshman in college and a junior in college, respectively, and very sort of woke and aware.
Mm-hmm.
And this Boston comedian, I guess on most nights when we're not there, he does like a tight 45 for these people that house him.
Wow.
Like,
Oh my God.
He sings for his supper. I'm not kidding. He sings for his supper.
like a different type 45 every night.
I don't know, because the woman of the house was like, "Tell the story about this and that." But basically, his type 45 that night was like a lot of Rodney Dangerfield impersonations, like horrible racial slurs and homophobic slurs included. And this person decided to sit between me and Sam for whatever reason. Maybe he thought that was like the best stage for him. But he was telling them really, really off-color jokes, which I'm used to, just institutionally speaking with my job. But I know that the niece and nephew were not used to, and I know I could see them dissolving into dust.
And they had this certain kind of appreciation for Stephen Wright before this.
Well,
And
my God, that's so funny, because it wasn't Stephen Wright, but Stephen Wright was headlining the Nantucket Comedy Festival this year.
Yeah.
And apparently he didn't want to come, and he just wanted to come and read his book, and then he decided
He wrote a novel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he wanted to just come read excerpts from his novel. But so it was just, there were 1 or 2 dinners that I could have done without. But on the whole, the 2 weeks went by much faster. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Went much faster. We picketed Nantucket just for WGA awareness, and they're now doing WGA and SAG. Donig's doing it. So it was really fun to walk around with signs and watch all these preppy people. It was either like, I want to be a writer. How do I do that? If like people
sure.
stopping us or people just looking at us like they had just smelled the most disgusting sandwich. Like, how can they be on Nantucket with a sword? You know, like it was crazy. So all in all, it was a good trip. The only other thing I'll say is that I was very engrossed in the new Bret Easton Ellis novel called The Shards. Have you
How
read
is
it?
No, I know him a tiny bit.
It's crazy and
Okay.
it's really
I saw it
violent.
in a bookstore. I started
Oh.
Judy Blume's bookstore. I
Oh.
started reading it there.
It's really, really violent.
It's a continuation or like a meta look
Yes.
at Less Than Zero.
It's called
Like-
auto. Yes,
Like
it's
I wrote this
autofiction.
book
Yeah.
called Less Than Zero, and now the kids I went to high school with.
Yes. But it's fiction.
I should read it,
but
right?
the
He's awesome.
person who's narrating it is named Bret Easton Ellis.
Mhm.
And I just wasn't prepared for all the and Bret Easton Ellis is not one to do a trigger warning. There was so much animal abuse in the book,
Sure.
but for whatever,
it's
so
fiction.
much. Yeah, but I just
How much is too much?
I couldn't. How
Any.
much is too much?
Okay.
I'd
Like
say
every
for
other
me, any.
page is too much.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I was like really fucked up for this book by this book for like
But-
most of the time I was there.
Two of his books messed me up hardcore.
Oh, which one?
Well, I read Less Than Zero in high school.
Yeah.
And I really like almost barfed in the
Yeah.
shower after reading it.
Yeah,
American Psycho is pretty.
I haven't read American.
Okay.
Wait, I have a
Psycho.
question. I never read Less Than Zero or American Psycho,
They're good.
but I know of Less Than Zero because of the movie, and I think I've seen part of the movie. What made you want to throw up about that movie? Isn't it just about drugs, or is there animal abuse in it?
There's
as well?
there's a running bit about a snuff film in
Oh,
there, and there's
yeah,
also
yeah.
like a kind of abusive gay relationship.
Yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah.
all.
Yeah,
It was a lot for me.
Yeah.
When I was 16 or whatever.
I could not put the book down, but I was
The Shards?
the shards. But I was so disgusted
I'm
by it
excited.
at the end, and then like no one on Nantucket has read the shards.
Is there like a psychopath who's doing this stuff?
Yes.
or-
Yeah, Brady Snell.
yeah,
Is it him who's doing it?
yeah. Spoiler alert.
Is
Um,
he a sociopath in real
No.
life?
Well, you
No.
know what's funny is I put this on an Instagram story months ago when I started reading it, but the dedication, it says this book is for no one, which is so Bret Easton Ellis. He's such an incredible writer, but man, was I was just like engrossed in that book, but I also was like mad at it. But he's such a good writer, but it did fuck me up for days
I
afterwards.
finally read, upon his recommendation, Play It As It Lays.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah,
now
yeah.
you understand Less Than Zero. It's
Yes.
like, oh, you're just trying to do that.
yes.
That is an amazing novel.
I need to reread that one.
Wow.
That's Joan Didion.
I have not read that.
It's
It's
short.
a novel. I haven't.
It's-
I've read some essays of
Me
hers.
too. But
But
this is like next level.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's about to give you a Joan Didion book.
Oh,
after
the
your father
Your
I
magical
have that
thinking.
one.
Yeah.
Guys, everyone, I already have that one.
You're
but
gonna get 20 of 'em.
Yeah. Wait, how is Less Than Zero an attempt to do Play It As It? Oh, it's about LA, right?
Yeah.
That was the one satisfying thing about the Shards was that it is absolute porn for if you grew up in LA and even more specifically the Valley. He went to Buckley High School, which is a very fancy private school in Sherman Oaks, and he's talking about all the very, very specific streets in the Valley. And my favorite part is that two dead girls. One is found at the park I grew up at and went to camp at, Shadow Ranch Park. It was like she was found with her eyes gouged out and her legs and arms cut off at Shadow Ranch Park. And I was like, oh my God. And then the second girl dies at the Promenade Mall, which was like, it's across the street from what is known now as I guess it's Westfield, Topanga. But back then the Promenade was way fancier. So, of course, the Buckley kids were in the Promenade Mall. And
So this is like fiction where he is the narrator and he's also a murderer.
yes, it says The Shards, a novel, and then like on Amazon or whatever, it says auto fiction. It's like autobiographical fiction.
But how is it autobiographical? The
What-
places?
Because a lot of it is about like he keeps this details at least of his life growing up in like the house. He had a house. He grew up in a house on
Right.
Mulholland.
But
His
it's like,
parents
what if
traveled a
he
lot.
had been?
Yeah.
Is violence for? I'm going to talk to you guys as if you are Bret Easton Ellis or teach a class about him. Is violence for him a metaphor?
That's such a good question. I
For
don't
what?
know.
Well, I've heard that American Psycho, it's like the violence in American Psycho is a metaphor for the violence of business and capitalism in this country, like the
it
language
doesn't
of.
feel like a metaphor. It feels like that guy works on Wall Street and that guy, like it's right there.
It feels like it's just anger. It's just an anger, a heightening of anger. But I don't know. It could be.
It's definitely a society gone amok in terms of materialism and isolationism.
So
I mean,
it
not
is
isolationism,
like
isolation.
a
Yeah.
metaphor then.
The one thing, yeah.
I mean, it's an
maybe.
exaggeration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's
Yeah.
what I mean. Is it
It's like
a
our-
comment on? I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's our society, the the dark mirror version,
Right.
Yeah.
The shadow.
not the black mirror, but the
Yeah.
the,
Right.
And the one thing that it did make me it didn't make me nostalgic for like when there was a serial killer in my high school, but
there was.
no.
Oh, I see.
But he drives around a lot just in the middle of the night in LA, and like that brought me back. Like there was a time where you could just do that. You could just get in your car and drive around, and like no one does that anymore. So that felt very.
Yeah.
But it's a really, really good book, but I would not recommend it if you don't like animal abuse.
All right.
It's tough.
That's a weird Amazon review, but I will.
I know.
That feels so what's the word? Like rebellious is the wrong, like antisocial in a way.
Yeah.
To put so much animal abuse
So
in your book
much.
when that is something that most people can't
Do you
handle.
review everything this way? Is this how you reviewed Basic Instinct? Like, is this
What?
just
Is there are
like,
animals
very
hurt in
good
that?
except for animal abuse?
No.
Wait, is an animal hurt in Basic Instinct?
I don't remember.
It's a real.
Oh.
I barely remember. There's a bunny, right?
Oh, that's Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction.
What? Are they different?
I guess we live in a world right now of
Oh,
trigger
I thought
warnings of
I
like
thought that.
I think
Trigger
there's a
warning.
beaver.
it was a rabbit, right?
Yeah.
Wabbit.
In Basic Instinct, there was
It was a beaver.
What did I say? Primal fear, primal instinct. What did I?
Basic Instinct.
Basic instinct. Yeah. Oh, that's
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Jeff.
oh,
but-
beaver. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's the
It's-
Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still don't
her
understand what
beef.
you're supposed to have seen.
Her Veej.
I didn't see it, but I thought it's a crotch shot.
It's a crotch shot.
Yeah.
What do you see? It just looks
It's
like
do,
a
you see,
dark.
do you see lips?
no. It's
I don't
a blur.
Think so. I
Oh,
think
really?
You see a little bit of pubic
I
hair.
don't know if
I
you
don't
do.
really know.
Yeah.
Huh. Get out.
But I was glad in some weird way that I had a really good book I could dive into.
Yeah.
I was glad I made a friend picketing.
Do people call you Pinky when you ran into them on the street?
No,
Okay.
I think Pinky was born out of total rage of just like I
Yeah.
can't believe I'm at this thing,
Yeah.
and it was real. And our last night we spent at a place called the Club Car on Nantucket, which is famous for two things. The Club Car is where Kevin Spacey molested a child who happened to be the son of a Boston news reporter.
Wow.
And the Club Car also happens to be the site of where John F. Kennedy Jr.'s friends were waiting for him
Uh-oh.
when that plane went down. They were supposed to all meet up at the Club Car. So
So it's a magical place.
it's a magical
Special
place.
magical place.
But I tried to do it differently. I feel like I succeeded 77%, but I feel there's still room for improvement.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Well, it sounds like you had quite a time.
It was fun, mostly.
It is now the time where I say hello and welcome to my new patrons.
Patreon.
Wants to say thank you to a couple of special people out there who signed up to be new patrons. Patreon.com/AlisonRosen.
Patreon.
Patreon.
Hello and welcome to Tim Ortez, to Mel, and to Melissa. Not the same person. You guys, thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. Patreon.com/AlisonRosen. Okay. This has been a wonderful show that has spanned a lot of stuff.
Are you feeling better?
I feel better. Yes, I do. I feel so much better today. Like earlier when Robin's like, you don't have to do a show today. I'm like, I know. I chose to because I felt like it would make me feel better. So, and it has.
Okay,
So
good.
thanks everyone.
Which of us do you think made you feel better the most?
It's a competition.
You did. You did. You did. All of you.
All
It's
right.
a joint. It was
Okay.
a joint effort.
Okay.
It takes a village.
Yes.
Joel.
If you like what you're hearing, make sure you or even if you don't, make sure you subscribe, leave us a comment, click 5 stars. I have merch available.
Ooh.
Please go check it out. I have a merch store with all sorts of stuff in it now. Go to AlisonRosen.com and at the top there's a little banner that says like merch store is now live. Go there, explore your options, find something, take a picture of yourself in it, send it to me. Let me see what you choose. Yeah, Joel, anything to plug?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
But you have a podcast.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Great.
You
Robin?
just talked about Dr. Bronner's on your podcast. I need to listen. Bronner's. I
Yeah.
need to listen to it.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram at Robin Shorr, RobinShorr. You guys are always so nice. Thanks for following me.
Jeff.
I don't have a plug, but I have a factoid that I've been sitting on. It's
Oh.
gotta let it out. Rupert Murdoch, someone tried to hit him in the face with a shaving cream pie, which was shaving cream on a plate, which I don't think you can call that a pie.
No.
Because it's not
No.
edible.
Yeah.
There's no pie tin, just paper plate. But anyway, it was shaving cream. The guy tried. I think it was unsuccessful. His wife, Wendy Dang,
Dang.
she
Sorry.
slapped the guy in the face.
Yeah, she
Ooh.
protected him.
Oof.
Yeah.
And I believe on Succession they did a little twist on that, which is they threw bags of urine at Logan Roy when he was walking into the news place.
But I think she also is like friends with Bannon or
No,
there's something else about her.
And the slap was described by CNN as a, quote, ferocious slap.
it was real.
She's
Don't mess with
she's
Dang.
got his back.
Wow.
Gotta give her that.
Wow. All right, you guys. Thank you everyone. Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen Show?